Hey guys, it's Medieval Misconceptions. Today we're going to talk about astronomy. Very few areas of study influence the time period more than astronomy. The area where science and religion clashed, the universe and existence were both questioned. Not only did astronomy see the greatest conflict between science and the church, but allegations of murder and wrongdoing, sitting a Greek tragedy more than a history of science, and a display of academic jealousy were taken too far. Copernicus, in his book Commentarius, first proposed the idea that the universe revolves around the sun, not the earth. Tycho proposed that the sun sat at the center of the universe, and the moon and the earth revolved around it, with the 5 known planets circling the sun, and the stars inhabiting a region just outside that. But come on, the earth isn't the center of the universe. I'm Copernicus, and I think that the earth revolves around the sun, but the sun is the center of the universe.
I am Tycho, and I think that that's a false truth. Steal Copernicus's idea. Sun is center of universe. Earth revolves around it. False truth.
False. All the astronomers believed that adopting one idea, even if it was someone else's, and sticking to it made them cooler. This is the reason that advances in astronomy were so far in between. This has been Medieval Misconceptions. See you next time.
Hey guys, it's Medieval Misconceptions here, and today we're going to be talking about holidays in the Middle Ages. So, during the Middle Ages, holidays were referred to as festivals, and these festivals were a time for everyone to relax and just have some fun. And since it was and still is important to maintain a healthy balance between work and fun, celebrations such as these holidays were very well needed. Although Christmas and Easter were the 2 most important holidays, there were others that were greatly celebrated as well. But what makes Christmas and Easter most special is that they're very religious holidays, and they both help measure out the year due to the seasons they are in. Easter lasted for a span of 120 days and is celebrated differently every day. It first starts with Lent, then in the middle of the Easter holiday lies Easter Sunday, then the holiday finally ends with Trinity Sunday. The main events during this holiday consisted of Morris dancing, pace egging, and mystery plays, which all represented something about the season. But overall, Easter was a very religious holiday that was celebrated for a very long time. There are a few more holidays after Easter, but the most important and religious one is Christmas. It was celebrated over the course of 12 days, due to the fact that the season was referred to as Time of the Twelves. Many things were executed 12 times, like toasts, dishes served, number of seats set up at a table, etc. Another thing that was done 12 times was people walking under the kissing bush, which is now referred to as mistletoe. This, along with the exchange of presents, were signs of love during Christmas. The decorations always consisted of a lot of green plants, but the Christmas tree was non-existent in medieval Europe until the 19th century. Other traditions during this holiday consisted of toasting the health of all present at the time and eating and drinking special Christmas foods and beverages. These festivals and holidays were of great benefit throughout the year. Without these celebrations, there would be no balance between work and play. Life would be tedious and dull, and there wouldn't be enough entertainment and ceremonies to amuse the Europeans throughout their daily life. Although they might come across as just some fun holidays where people can just take a break from work, these holidays served much more purpose than that. They practice and continue religion and traditions, as well as provide recreation, reward, hope, and order. These celebrations were very important in the medieval times and continue to stay that way to this day. This has been Medieval Misconceptions. Peace out.
Hey guys, it's Medieval Misconceptions. Alright, so today we're talking about the roles of women in the Renaissance. So the upper class could marry, and that required a dowry, which was a payment made so that the husband didn't have to just work up to pay for her. There was a payment to help him out. And because they were super expensive, because it's another person, a lot of girls would just become a nun because their family couldn't afford for them to get married. And a lot of women married in their late teens and men married in their 30s. So because they married at such a young age and men married at an older age, a lot of women became widows. So women in the upper class were expected to take care of the house, educate the kids, have kids, and look pretty and always be sophisticated, and look good and host parties and all this like fancy people stuff. So they were not allowed to work. So they didn't work, they didn't breastfeed. Those were just looked upon as lower class things, and if you did them, like it's just not okay. So the middle class, however, worked in the shops if they worked at all. They had some fancy things, not as much as the upper class did. They took care of the houses, they cooked, they nursed, they had kids, and they were also in charge of educating them up until they would go to school if they could. The lower class, however, it really sucked if you were in the lower class because you had a really hard life with farming or being a servant. You could either be a servant in the city or to the nuns and help them out. You would take care of the house, you would have kids, teach the kids, because they probably weren't going to get to go to a good school, if at all, and do the cooking. And so a lot of the women, because they couldn't make ends meet, turned to prostitution. It really sucks. Like, that's not at all okay to be a prostitute so that way you can feed your kids. So women married in their teens, like I said, and so it was okayed by the church to be married at 12. Like, that's the age that we are, and that's crazy and weird. Like, being married now, weird. So because of this, they also became really targeted by older men as women became like older and into their teens. So it was the mother's and the family's job to protect her and make sure that she wasn't going to be harassed in any way. And so the upper classes could do this a lot. They could supervise any contact she had with men, make sure when she met with a suitor that it wasn't like some weird creepo and that everything was okay. But the lower class did not have this luxury as much. So like when they were working out with the field, there was the story of this one girl who was working out in the field and she got raped and she drowned herself because she was so ashamed. And just things like this are really not okay in the Renaissance, but they were normal. So, I mean, there wasn't much that people could do about them. So that was roles of women in the Renaissance. And this was Medieval Misconceptions. Peace out. Good time.
Hey guys, it's Medieval Misconceptions. Today we're going to talk about plays in the time of the Renaissance. Plays in the time of the Renaissance were very different from the plays we see today. They had all classes of people attending, and they were often very loud and chaotic. Theaters were built outside of the London city limits because theater was illegal and disapproved of by the church. There were many genres, but the one that we're going to focus on today is the tragedy. A tragedy is a play with an unhappy ending for the main character or characters. I'm sure that most people have heard of the play Romeo and Juliet. It's a classic Shakespeare tragedy. It depicts two feuding families whose children fall in love with each other. And the children, Romeo and Juliet, end up dead, and that's kind of what makes it a tragedy. I'm sure you've also heard of the song Love Story by Taylor Swift. It includes many references to the play, yet it ends very happily with marriage opposed to death. If the song had been at all accurate to the play, it would have had a very different tone. We were both young when you first saw me. I was 13, waiting to get married. You got down by your girl so she could be alone. I see the lights in the party you crashed in. You weren't invited, you just helped read the invitation. A little boy. That I'd be looking good even though I was 13. But your daddy said stay away from Capulet. I was crying from my room, needing my love for you. And I said, Romeo, take me to another town. You killed a man, now we have to run. I'll pretend to kill myself and you do not know it's a tragedy. Baby, we'll both die. And that is how Love Story by Taylor Swift would have sounded if it was at all accurate to the story of Romeo and Juliet. and tragedies of the Renaissance era. This has been Medieval Misconceptions. Peace out.